All right. Looks like we got sound OBS. Got no desktop. Up in Restream, we don't need this preview. Let me disable the YouTube chat. And I think we're jumping right in. Let's see. Okay. So many previews. How many of these windows have previews? Sorry. Okay. We're actually ready. So I'm jumping right in. Let's see. This is not necessarily what I'm looking at, though. I am starting on... I think what I'm going to do to start with is following up something I did this morning inside this one. Is that it? No, this is a different thing. Well, we could find it from here, probably easier. Basically, though, it's going to be a typing PR. Yeah, this one. We're going to do it. We're going to add types to this one. This one had this change to change the argument I2C. It used to be I2C bus, but I2C, it's like, this is what it is inside every other driver. It's just I2C by itself, so it definitely made sense to change it, but I made the release for it, and I should have done a major number. If we have another change that we can get in, then we can do another release. And so it does make sense. This person suggested just finish up the typing, and this one's not a huge one. It'll be good to do another one of these for me. So I'll start with this, and I will probably have to fork this. Already exists. Well, do I have it locally? EH17. Doesn't look like it. Oh, actually, it does look like it. I just started too low. Yeah, we could take over this one. All right, fix that. Let's add Adafruit, right? Oops. Oh. It's not in history. Fetch. Make a new one. Check out new branch, typing from. Oops, I should have done no track. I'm gonna delete it and make one more. I don't think it matters. I think we could still choose at the end. Just make sure we don't push. Well, I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna try that again. Check out actual main. Delete this local one. this again. Weird, that's not in the history either. There we go. Now it's not tracking that branch, so when we go to push it, it will ask us. And then we can tell it to go to my fork. So we may change this to something more specific eventually, like we have an optional or something. Class value, method add values, value tuples. It's definitely a tuple, but what could probably discern more. We can find a usage of it. Maybe it's like a tuple of tuples, or it's a list of tuples. We could possibly name value string plus b. Possibly find out the things inside of it too. It doesn't look like it returns anything. Valid. And value. Last string. I guess it's a string. This one returns a Boolean. And we'll see if we can find where this gets used, and maybe we can tell a little bit more about what it has. Whoop. It will be none. And bits. Int. Post bits. Type. I feel like this would be another int, but the lowest bits index. The index within the byte is definitely an int. I think maybe just type was mistyped here. See if we can find this used. Yeah. The usages, they're both just passing 2 ints. I wonder why they're defined here. Usually these come from a bus.io or library. This device has some obscure thing about it that makes it a little bit different. So this is definitely, well, we don't know object yet though. Object. I don't know. I think this is going to end up returning a number. I don't know what object is though. Object. This one we know is optional. We could get from typing. I don't think I have the right syntax, or maybe it's just mad there's nothing in here. I don't know what it's going to be either though. It doesn't look like it uses it. One has. So, I mean, I guess this would be calling get. Get, I guess, is what happens when you access the value like this. I don't know. Maybe in a bit over my head with this one. I still don't quite rock a lot of the fundamentals of the I2C driver stuff. Let's see what Python docs tell us about this. This isn't Python docs, I guess. I mean, I guess this is the new value. We already have self, so I don't know what object would be. Or object type. Doesn't necessarily explain, like, what's getting passed to these things. Automatic arguments? Owner? Self instance owner. So very old. Yeah, I don't know. Anything that I could find would be a pure guess. I think it may be worth not doing this one for now. Yeah. The driver layer, like, I feel like a lot of these have a better understanding of, or at least an ability to find by context a lot of these. This, like, helper class, though I'm not quite understanding of the get and set, like what types of things these are going to be. And I don't want to, I mean, I could put up a PR and get feedback certainly, but I don't necessarily think I should just take a pure guess at it. Hopefully we'll find somebody who knows a little more about that kind of area of Python than me. I mean, I guess it could be object. Well, is object a type in Python? Value, I guess, is probably an int. Yeah, I think I'll pass that for now. Try to research get and set a little bit more. Come back to it. Instead, thing on the list is let's see. Can merge Circuit Playground. Talked about this in the meeting. Pull it back up on this one. I think we need to take out some of the check statuses on this one. That's where we're at. Status like this sprinkled in. Calls to check status in a bunch of places, which raises a runtime error if the register says that there's an alert. There are some fairly normal situations that lead to an alert, and this causes it to raise the exception all the time. Goes back out. I put a recap of the meeting. I don't remember. We want to put a... Oh, right. Make check status public. Yeah, that's coming back to me now. So make check status public by getting rid of the leading underscore, and then user code can just call it as needed. Yeah. Then we can add an example if we want. Okay. Yeah, we can... I feel like this is a very long chain. I feel like maybe this person said they were gonna be getting ready to work on other stuff as well, so they might not be coming back to it as quick anymore. Not 100% sure if that was this one or not. That might have been a different thing. How's it going, Cedar Grove? It is, yeah, I think so. Magic for the getter setter. I think it is, and I kind of have an idea of like what it does, just not the specifics about like what type it's expecting those arguments. Because yeah, it's basically, I mean, my understanding of it is it's basically like the getter and setter being able to make your attributes kind of like run some code whenever they are accessed or set. But those arguments seem very generic, I guess. I'm not sure how they should be typed. Value, I think I haven't. I think int feels in this context certainly. Int feels appropriate for value, but object and object type, I'm not. I don't even have much of a guess, truthfully, on either of them. So. I want to say we got anything else taken care of. Yeah, I don't quite follow the link to that one. It's related. I mean, it's the same person. And they're using this driver on a Raspberry Pi, it looks like, but... Maybe we'll follow up on this one. let's see. Using to me property and the foo.setter. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't quite. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there is some difference between property and attribute, but I'm with you there. Like the property, those decorators, those have been kind of the only things that I've ever had direct experience with as well. Because it's a check status, it's leading underscore, I think. We can. Yeah. Oh, but there's a non one too. Okay. It's already public. Really? Yeah, we just need to remove them. I don't know if they'll come back. They did. This person did work through a ton of changes already, which is super awesome. But I do sympathize. It's like it's a bit of a process, especially to go through like as many changes as they have. And I think they're in kind of the situation where like they want it to behave that way for their setup, but we just don't necessarily want the default behavior of the driver to be that way. So it's like their thing is working for them. I don't know. We'll see if they end up having cycles to get back around to it. What else do I have in here today? So this actually I tried out earlier. I didn't turn the stream on, but this was basically just a Node.js server fetching this page over and over again. This page generates a number of x's equal to the address that you request. An ESP32 spy had some kind of trouble with it after a while. ESP32S2 doesn't seem to though, so that's good news at least. I could probably kill that server, honestly. We don't really need that server still running. I see here. I let it run for a while. It made it up over 2200. Okay. We'll start back here. I think Circuit Playground we can merge. We talked about that in the meeting. I hit the bouncer this morning. I think Tektrick mentioned you would take a look at that later. This was the fan one. I do got to dive back into Adabot, get my token sorted out. Try to make the draft badge for this page. Logging, could take a look at this one today. This is kind of a big one, I think, but it should be pretty easy to test. A bunch of these other ones are drafts. These ones are test repo. Okay. Hey there. Let's see. They are wrapped. They are wrapped. Appreciate the follow there. Could maybe try this one out too. USB32 Spy. Let's start with. Did I not open it? Oh, it is here. Okay. Let's start with this one. This is already all tested out. Double check. We don't need anything else. I don't have a super easy. I have an old Windows 7 machine, but I don't have a super easy way to check like how it's gonna behave under Windows to develop. That old Windows machine. It's like hard drive is full. It's got a bunch of weird stuff going on with it. It's kind of hanging on by a thread, and I use it for the one thing I still use it for, and don't mess with it otherwise. And it's also Windows 7. It's not probably what anybody else is still using. Yeah. Merge this. I'll make the release, and then I'll keep the tab open here to make sure Actions doesn't do anything weird when it goes to do the bundling and attach it to the asset page and such. And I feel like it's not. I mean, so it's not a breaking change. So we're definitely not doing major number. I would say maybe middle number makes sense because it's not really a functional change to anybody using the library here. So maybe minor number makes more sense. Yeah, maybe minor number makes more sense. Oh. Okay, 520, 521. I don't know, we'll specify, I mean, you know, we'll say something like that just so like folks know, there's no new features, there's nothing to change, everything else should just work the exact same way it does today. Just this taken alongside with the change in the core will make that frozen in stuff start including different files, basically. So I will keep an eye on the actions for that one. Make sure nothing crazy happens. I don't think we've used that linking before in any other place, not that I'm aware of at least. I don't see why it would cause a problem, but this one's fairly substantial, right? Yeah, so this is basically changing the logging module to match CPython closer. Make functions not available in CPython private and override pylon errors. Override pylon errors. Only logger, logger is the only logger. Others have been converted to handlers and subclasses. The now print handler has been changed to stream handler, with the default stream being std error. Logger can take a name that gets added to the corresponding global variable. Get logger now returns none. The requested logger isn't found, as opposed to creating one. Methods had argument names changed to match CPython names. Print logger is now handler, and it gets used with logger. No default handler. Handler is now subclass of stream handler. Single file. Okay. So I'm not super familiar with Python logging library, so I'm gonna start by just taking a little bit more of a look at the actual CPython docs for logging. And then we'll run the examples and we'll kind of check on some of this stuff to make sure everything is all matching up, because that's the point of this PR, was trying to make it match the CPython version a little bit better. Yeah, maybe we'll start here or cookbook. But I'm like vaguely familiar with the logging system. I've used it at a higher level in a couple projects, so I kind of have an idea of what it does, but I wouldn't say that I've kind of learned all of the basics of it. I just like know the way that it's used in a few different of the contexts that I use it in. But I haven't explored much. Okay, so this is like a table of best practices around using which different log level. Warning root. Root come from? Do we really see that? Let's go ahead and open up logging. update. Oh, a lot of remotes. Some of them are mine. Interesting. Okay. And really most of that didn't matter because really what I want is CPython. I'm just curious whether this actually prints root. It does. And then we wouldn't see info. Because the default level is higher. Okay, so this one, we'll put it into a file. I'm gonna make a file here. I'll end up deleting it, but this is gonna create the file, log a bunch of things to it. Unrecognized arguments encoding. Maybe is the import supposed to? No, that's the same one. Oh. I have 3.8 only. So I may, it's probably about time to update, truthfully. Should we just take it out? Yeah, okay. And somehow you could configure this to have timestamps too. Oh, interesting, it has colors. I guess that's probably PyCharm doing that. It's around here. Oh. There we go. All right, so the basic stuff makes pretty well good sense. Somehow I know you can do time because that's one of the other things that happens. Yeah. In the other place where I'm used to using this. This one I guess we'll just print. Okay. Okay. Okay, so maybe I didn't give myself enough credit. I'd say I was pretty familiar with the stuff that this page talks about, at least. Maybe not the syntax of like I couldn't have whipped out, you know, basic config here and all the exact things that it takes. But all of the sort of concepts of this page feel like I had down pretty well. Maybe couldn't have told you what the exact default was on warning. Okay. So then let's go back to here. Let's check out the PR one. Quit GHPR. Check it out. Oops. Well, we need the list, I guess. List. Check out 28. Let's take a look here as well. Multiple modules. Threads. Multiple output places. Server config. Listen, file config. Huh. I don't know what that means exactly. Server running on the network? Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that could happen. That's interesting. Okay, so what do we have for actual examples here? We have a file handler and a simple test. The SD card. Okay. Let's take a look at the changes. We'll look at them in GitHub because that's a little more convenient, and then afterwards we will run the examples. To start with, what is this a list of? Oh, all level 4. That didn't exist on logging, the CPython one, so now it's been made private and then eventually potentially deprecated further, like removed the rest of the way. Logging handler, print handler, those are gone, and now we have handler and stream handler. Null logger got changed over. Oh wow. So basically just there is no level 4. Maybe we should go back. Oh, the reference is what we want, yeah. Yeah, no level 4. Login.stream handler. Control tab? Need to try to remember control tab. I think that does, yeah. Oh, no, that's just going straight through. There was like a back and forth. Null logger, we could check on that one. So, I mean, some of this is just like kind of spot checking a little bit of this stuff. I'm not super familiar with it, so it's easy to search through over to here. Oh, null handler, actually. Oh, but we don't really have null. Why are these blue? Null Handler. What, was I on a different version or something? I wonder why this wasn't in here. Python 3? 3.10? Other objects? Null Handler? What is logging.handlers.null handler? But this is just a big list. Maybe it's, oh, but it was refactored to only a file? So level 4 doesn't exist, and so that's been made private. Handler is now kind of a base class that other stuff is gonna extend. Takes a level when you initialize it. Has a private format, which creates the string. Send a message to the place where the handler goes, right? If it's a file handler, to the file. If it's a stream handler, to the stream. If it's a null handler, send it nowhere, I assume. So that got turned to private function. Print handler is now stream handler. Stream handler. Stream none. That part matches. So this does show this changed to private, but here it looks public. Maybe there's also a private one. In format too. Oh, but the public. Okay, well, the public one would be on handler? No. Okay, let me read back here again. Not available in CPython. But these ones are, so I think that's different stuff. Is there a base handler? Like, there's not actually a base handler. It seems like from the docs at least. We can ask. I may be misunderstanding. It seems like these are public though in CPython. Like these ones do exist. Whoop. Any tabs that I'm trying to cycle between here? Well, and so this is on the base class handler, which is a little bit different. Maybe I should put the comment on stream handler. Because this one, it doesn't seem like there is a base. There's a bunch of the subclasses, but it's not just like handler. I saw. But it certainly does make sense. Make it if they all have part of the same interface. And I guess it might just be on a different page too. This one is listing the handlers, so maybe it's just not talking about the details, including the superclass like that, but... like it... in format too, right? Oh no, there is no format. Format. Handler. There's a handler. One is the base handler. Okay, yeah, it was on a different page. It does have a format and an emit. Could actually go back to the base one. Okay. Let's do a multi one. We'll build up here. So level 4 though, that one seemed right. I didn't see a level 4. Yeah. Add logger. This one is now private. Or, well, this one didn't exist, I guess. It does exist now, and it's private. Logger cache. Get logger. Name. Add logger. Does seem odd that get logger would call add logger. Is that one of the things mentioned in here? Get logger now returns none if the requested logger isn't found, as opposed to creating one. So I guess here probably this is like default value if it doesn't find it. Inside here we take the name. If the name is not in the cache, which is what, a dictionary, yep. Then set cache, put the name in it as a key, create a logger here. Let's say that does quote, right? Yeah. Okay. But it does have less logic than before. It did used to go null logger, check if it's empty or none. This thing is none, then make a null logger. If the name is not in the cache, then create it. So this actually is pretty much what it still does. It's just now inside of here. Which, and in fact, this is basically the same code, right? Yeah, I think that's just that code. Yeah. Logger cache. I wonder, is it going to be able to access logger cache? It's not like, well, it doesn't have a self dot, actually. Okay, so this is... Oh, this doesn't accept self. Interesting. It's a static function, I guess. And this one doesn't accept self either. So the logger class, initialize it with a name and a level. You can probably that here as well, right? Logger. Get logger. Ah, okay. We're never calling that directly. So I guess maybe they don't actually document it. You're not supposed to call it. An add handler. Fix a handler. Oop. Add handler. Yep. As handler. As handlers. Oh, yep. Handlers. Whether any handlers have been set. .log. Take a level and a message. Indeed. Level message. Debug message. MSG. Info, this is all, these are all going to be probably the same. Yeah, there's warning and error, and critical. Info, warning, error, critical. Null handler. More efficiently disable logging. Add handler. It did have... It does call it Fiddler. I don't actually care for it, truthfully. I think the full word handler is better. I don't know if we want to match. We may want to match. And I mean, it doesn't matter, 99% of the time. Like, the only time it matters is if you call it and pass it as a keyword argument, even though you don't have to pass it as a keyword argument. You can, and most of the time will, pass it positionally. Just pass the variable inside the, parentheses by itself. Okay, so we looked at all of these. I think, yeah, this is where we got down to here, and this is what made me look back at the name of that. So this is just a different type. This is the null handler, so it's going to re-implement all these same things with all these changes to the argument name MSG. There's its private emit, which we'll see if we do want to make that public or not. Okay. File handler extends the stream handler. File handler. File name, mode, encoding, delay, errors. File name, mode are the only ones we got, but those are matching in the same order, same names and everything. Close exists. Format does not show a public format here. It does show a public emit. Format, there's the private emit. File was deleted. Extensions. This is in the example, closing the file. Closing the file handler, which in turn I assume is going to close the actual file. Logging simple test. Creates the stream logger. And I guess default for it just goes to serial. Print, same way that printing would. Get logger null. Interesting, it does show creating one. This, I guess, shows creating one as well, actually. I'll have to look at this in more context. Because it also doesn't look like print logger gets used as null logger and logger. Oh, logger dot add handler print logger. Okay. Okay. Well, these are creating handlers, not the logger. So it is always calling get logger, not the initializer, which is what that page said anyway, CPython 1. And then switching it back to a single file instead of multiples. Anywhere else that has to change? Remember for sure. I think so. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, besides, there's a couple that I found. Let's see. I'm gotta run to the restroom, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, filled up my water too. But now we are back. We'll try this out. Regular right here as well. There, we don't need that plugged in. Oh, no, actually. If the camera's gonna be right again. I've been having all kinds of trouble with the camera. I don't know what the problem is with the camera. Sudden, but yeah, it crashed. If it's like on storage. So we'll take the modified library from this PR, put it on our PyPortal. Don't have the old one. In fact, let's extra sure. We don't have the old one. Okay. That. It's this one for now. Now. We'll start with simple test. Oh, right, this was a bitmap saver example. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay. So that's gonna import logging and print some stuff and see some of it, but not all of it. So we got a logger named test. We made a stream handler for it called print logger. We added the handler to the logger. We set the level to error. We sent info message, which we don't see because info is less than error. We then sent an error message, which we do see. We got a null logger and, well, we got a new logger that's named null. We got a null handler. We added the null handler to our logger, which is named null. We set the level to error. We infoed again, we errored again, and then this time we don't see it. Make this one different and we won't see it. We see this one, which is up here. Maybe put a smiley face on that one. Yeah, see, we got that one, but not this one. Makes sense, because this is a null handler, so it's, you know, it doesn't really send the log message anywhere. If we were to change this to info, then we would see this message. Yep. And yeah, if we had a warn before we changed the level, we would see that as well. After we change the level, we wouldn't see it. So like warning here, I don't think we would see, because error is higher than warning. Yeah. Okay. So let's grab the file test. All of that seemed to be working as expected, as far as I could tell. Chip select. I have no idea what the chip select for the SD. Well, it probably has a name, right? SDCS, buddy? Card. Yep, there it is. Testlog.log. Let's step through this real quick. What are we expecting here? This is all just initializing the SD card. Here's our actual logger stuff. So string file path, testlog.log. Create a logger whose name is testlog, or get a logger, which is causing it to be created, I guess. Create a file handler, giving it the path. Add the handler to the logger. Set the level to info. Logger initialized through the info channel. Debug. Close when we're done. Can I copy an emoji real fast? Oh, but that does like a Discord thing. Okay. Alright, well, that's alright. Is it actually, I'm a little curious. Is it gonna print an emoji for me if I do this? Might as well push the limits a bit here. I actually had a probably still have it, I guess, right? Face. Voice of an error emoji is very important. Okay. Now that's in there. Level is info, so we should definitely get that written. Whether or not it'll be visible by the time it writes and we open it back up on the computer, I have no idea, but I'll see. Do we need to do anything else? I think we're ready to give it a try. Let's open this up just so we can see the error if it does crash. Otherwise, got code done running. Pretty good sign. Updated frozen CPX PR with the release of the library. Nice. See if it passes CI in the core Neradoc means there. Oh, I guess this isn't on the stream, is it? This is in the CircuitPython dev channel. That in, so I got a little SD reader here, 31 gigabytes volume, test log. This is our log file, 108 bytes. Nice. We do have our rage emoji in there. That's pretty sweet. We got time, which in this case, it's just timed out monotonic probably. We got our info, we got our warning, we got our error. We did not get our debug, but I think that's because debug is lower than info, if I recall correctly. There was, I think, a table of levels. maybe? Or that was in here, maybe? Basic tutorial? Yeah. Yeah. Debug is less than info. So if we wanted to see the debug, we would have to actually do set level debug. Other log. We'll call this other log. Test this one more time. Unplug this without pressing the button. Oh, I see feedback on the core PR I have open as well. Could merge this as is. Hard work later. Not sure. What's up over here? Oh. At least the display is in read. Oh, right. Merge this as is. Do the harder work later of the struct to support the custom PWM frequencies. I'm not sure of the trade-off of fixing the Titano problem versus making the other boards slightly noisier. I feel like the Titano display working better outweighs the noisiness, but I wouldn't say it's like a super strong opinion. What that's. Okay. I get this plugged back in. Partway through there. Okay, so I got that back in the PyPortal. Let this go again. Change the file name to other log. We changed the level to debug, so this time we should see this one. Okay. And easy, all done. SD card. We do ever get the like pass through where like CircuitPy can be plugged in, and then you can see the SD card that's connected to like the PyPortal. Will be one of my favorite features. That makes anything that you do with SD cards, that just makes it like so much easier. Amazing. Okay, so here's other log. It's a little bit bigger. It's a good sign. Indeed, we have now our debug message as well, and everything else still appears to be working fine also. So I think we're looking good on this. I do think there's a couple of the things I mentioned here, like I'm not sure these look public in CPython to me. This looks like it's still creating a thing. And then the name of that one argument. Those are all relatively small things, and I'm not even sure about them. Like, it may be intended that things are set the way they are, and that's intentional, and I misunderstand something about the CPython one. That's definitely possible. But we will see what TechTrick is thinking on that. As a new argument, argument display. So like this. I like to sit on my feet. Like I'll pull my foot up under, put it on the chair and sit on it. But it, for whatever reason, I subconsciously do that. But then after a while, it does start to hurt my leg. I made it through everything that I had in mind for today. We could draft. Not sure. I do think I get Dan's feedback, like using WSGI library would be better suited for this problem. Not sure if that kind of overrides the desire to have this change or not. I don't really see anything problematic with the change either, though. So if they are using this and they want to use it instead of changing over to WSGI, I don't see much of an issue with it. Else here. Okay, so we could try this out and take a look at the changes. Like it's fairly large, but I think it's a lot of just changing the types of errors like this. How's it going, Tektrick? Is that the rage emoji probably for Twitch? I was a little behind on Twitch. I had a different window up in front for a minute. It was a good motivator for me to crack the covers and use logging for a couple nice projects that crash. That's awesome. Yeah, I like you kind of taking a step back, even though like all of that was not necessary to be able to test that specific PR. I like kind of doing a bit of a dive on something when it's something that I've kind of used and am aware of, but never really did the like base level learning about. So that's awesome. I'm glad that inspired you. Tektrick, I guess you probably saw then I reviewed that logging PR. That's what we had going on here a little bit ago. Runtime to timeout, runtime changes to broken pipe. Do we have all these errors? That error? Maybe they got added. We could make a Twitch bot logging handler. We could have it log into a Twitch bot even partway through. Awesome. Not for, oh, the errors, possibly not for all builds. Unknown error. Value error. I would say this is another place where I'm not super familiar with like actual implied meanings of all the different errors. Some of them are kind of like, you can tell from the name, I guess. Connection error. Failed to create AP kind of does make sense for that. Unknown error, I guess this one we'd have to know like what even causes this. Sure. Failed to request host name. Extra remote server. So another thing we would probably need to do on this is double check learn guide stuff. It's possible that there are projects that would be trying to catch these errors and might start no longer catching them. They change types. The good news is that most of the Learn Guide projects that might affect are probably using the PyPortal library or some other, portal base type library. So if that is the case, probably we could change it in that library, and then the rest of those projects might not need to be touched individually. Oh, nice. They were in the core docs, recently added them. Why this has its own digital I/O. These ones are all the examples, just changing to actually catch types that it does raise. Parentheses. To the end, actually, yeah. So that was all errors, error changings. They all seem to make pretty good sense to me. bearing in mind I don't necessarily know the exact definition of all these different things, but certainly nothing really jumped out at me as like super out of place. So what we could do is, let's take a look here. Was there any like, never say anything? Done's. Oh, and maybe a little bit here. Look from the beginning. I wish people would put a little bit about what their motivation was at the least, or like even just including a small summary of the changes is very helpful. Thanks for improving this. The examples should be updated to handle the new exceptions. Code and learn guides, yeah. Plus FYI, this should get a major. Yeah, probably will need to, I bet you, update PyPortal or Portal Base or some of those. We can go ahead and try this out though. Leave feedback about the examples that are here and testing them out on a device. So I have the Titano connected up. Let's get this open and we can pull this version. Yeah, we could overtake logging for now. Yeah, the logging thing is pretty cool. We use it on some of our server stuff for work. Not related to CircuitPython, but like we have some relatively complex logging stuff setups where like different stuff gets logged into different files, and it's all time stamped and it's all kind of sorted according to different parts of the system. There's like formatting for the timestamps and all kinds of stuff. Nice the way it keeps a nice history of everything. Able to pick back through it pretty easily. So let's update this. Well, let's see what remotes we have even. Oh hey, interesting. I didn't know if you did always done -v. I didn't realize this would show me the remotes. Okay. Errors. So frozen in, is it? Is this... So, you know, it would kind of make sense. It's like built onto the board. Is frozen in. Glad I checked. So we need to put this on the root. And also, I will probably do some other tricks to make sure that we're actually testing the modified one. Oh, I'm glad I checked on that. I'll delete the one in lib, then it will overtake the frozen one. Yeah, I took the SD card out before, and this is still the logging test. We'll check back. Let's grab a ESP test. Basic to start with. Simple test sounds good enough. Would be set to use settings already. Yeah. Secrets, rather, I mean. Okay. And pins. Pretty good, I think. Press. Oh. We need to print all of those. Okay. Our prices for Bitcoin and some other stuff. Best Wi-Fi page. Both of those appear to be working. I will. Should see this print, I think. Yeah. This does have one of the updated error catch things. So I think what we should do is let's go to PyPortal library. Test one of these examples. This one, well, have try catch, I guess, in this part of it. But I guess what we want to tease out is whether the library does its own try catching. Let's try this, and then I guess what I can do is I could change my Wi-Fi network so that it won't be able to connect, and then it would raise an error, and we could see what it does. Of the camera. You have the camera. Look at that. How's it going, Johnny? Thanks for tuning in over on Twitch. So yeah, by default, everything stays the same, no problems. What we want to know though is if we have an error, what will it do? So I'm going to pull this over. Don't want to change my secrets on the screen. Sure that we're off the screen now, yeah. I'll go here and let's do that. What's this? Bring this back. And theoretically, we should be not able to connect to the network now, so it should get an error. And I don't know if the library, if it like instinct is maybe it has a couple retries or something, but I'm not actually sure. Yeah. Okay. The retry actually seems to be working fine. Maybe we are actually okay here. Trying. Init, or maybe it's in portal base. Runtime error, connection error. That's from Wi-Fi Connect. Connect. Used to raise runtime, now raises connection error. And this is already catching both. somewhere here. Okay. Is OS error eventually? Get that yet? No. Oh, now we did. Timing. That actually seemed to be fine. Maybe one other thing I'll do. Let's check, are there any other examples? JSON fetching? So this one should do the same thing to start with, because it's not going to be able to connect. Oh, it doesn't retry this one, actually. Oh, wait a minute. Does this come from the PyPortal library? PyPortal internet JSON fetching. Huh. But this is actually lower level. It doesn't use PyPortal. The library. It will run on a PyPortal, but it's not using the PyPortal library. Huh. This one I think is not in the network. It has local code to generate the QR code. That wouldn't really matter anything we did to ESP32 spy. Okay, let's go here and find a PyPortal based project, like something basic. NASA image viewer. So looking for something that doesn't have too much in the way of graphics for the project, and also doesn't need much else set up, like no outside API tokens or anything, hopefully. That's the API key though. That. Okay. Isn't there, so the one that comes to mind is the Bitcoin price one. Maybe they took that out because they're trying to get away from like crypto stuff. It was a PyPortal Bitcoin display PDF. It down. I don't know. And then its PDF is still showing up because it's like served from a different place. Link. This is just like straight ripoff of the Adafruit blog post, it looks like. Doesn't even have the link to the actual guide. Weird. I don't know. I guess they probably took this one down. Another weird copy of Adafruit blog post. Doesn't actually have a link. You know, I guess we could. Looked in the PDF closer. Wait, what? Oh, yeah. I bet you they took it down because they don't want to have any crypto stuff really be associated. Was a good basic example though. Alright, well, that's alright. We can just find something else. Basic weather stuff. This has a lot of graphics though. Put this on one of my PyPortals and up a fair amount of my space if it's the thing I'm thinking of. It's got like different graphics for each weather type. Also would probably need an open weather. Is there like the quotes thing? PyPortal quotes? Quotes? Yeah, let's do this one. This one shouldn't require much. It does do a little more than just printing the stuff in the serial there, so. Remember this one, the quotes one. That's probably the kind of up there with the Bitcoin one as really good basic examples that do fetch from the internet and show onto the screen different stuff. Is it in the learning guide repo? Good question, actually. Yeah, I don't know. It maybe could have gotten left in there. I wouldn't be too surprised if it did exist in that repo, but not the learn system anymore. But it also wouldn't really surprise me the other way either, if it got removed from there at the same time. The repo is like public, but not browsable quite as easily as the learn system, so I could see potentially just leaving it there. Hey, wait, where'd the other files go? That was weird. Already exists. Okay, so it should fail the first time because I still haven't fixed my secrets. This does show value error, runtime error. I wonder if one of those would be different now. Oh, also we don't have the font. Lifts. Now we're connecting. This is where it should fail. Alright, okay, so it's gonna do the retry, and it's gonna retry a bunch of times. I don't remember how many times it retried back up here, but it retried several times. I think that part's fine. I will change it back. Not on screen though. Oh. Only pasted some other stuff in there. So now it should be able to connect. Another thing maybe we'll do is change the URL here to a URL that's not going to return a valid thing to us. That way we can see what it does. Make sure it does something appropriate. Nice. There's our quote. And it's on the screen now as well. Showing it, but there it is. So it was made for the PyPortal standard. We have the Titano here, which is a bit bigger, so it's not using all the space, but it does have the quote. So yeah, let's do that. If we just, I don't know, PHP 1, does that? Assume that should give us something bad. I mean, not like bad, but it should error out or tell us that it can't fetch the data successfully or something. PyPortal Bitcoin, still in there. Yeah. I bet you they just removed it from Learn and the blog because they don't want it to be like easily findable. And since the Learn Guide repo is not quite as like well known and browsable, they just didn't bother. So we got, yeah, HTTP error code 400 came from line 35, which is here. This was an HTTP error, which ended up coming from PyPortal and Portalbase. Fetch. Doesn't actually have any raises at this level. Interesting. I guess it's gonna call this request. Whoop. Off that request. Raise a value error. Raise out of retries. Those are the two types from here. Something different here. And actually I have fetch. Not in a knit, is it? Oh, yes. Wow, okay. It was just called network fetch response. Catches value error, memory error. Any re-raising yet? Didn't see any re-raise. Raise? That seems like it was put in for debugging. Raise. Error occurred retrying. So I guess what we check is if we run this with the current library, does it get to here and then retry, or does it do the same thing? If it gets to here and retries with the current library, then we probably want it to do the same with the new version of the library as well, which would mean we will need to change the project code here to catch other kind of exception. I guess it depends though. Like different things going wrong in the network could cause different types of errors still. So to test that, we can just change the one that's in the root. Not. Run again. Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, we didn't get it this time. I don't know why it restarted a second time. Okay. Seems to do the same thing today, like with the currently released one. And it has different for the network or no? I think the network, actually sure when it connects to the network. Is that in init or is that in fetch? Finish this back. Network that doesn't exist. Oh. Replied on one of the good. Everyone. And the size argument creates a new API, which I'm not sure we want to support in the long run. Best fix is to make the size specification unnecessary by doing partial receives and concatenating the pieces. I gotcha. Base library. Did mine leave a duplicate? Looks like maybe mine left a duplicate. Which they mentioned they did. Started doing. Thought about doing. still, it's kind of both ways, I guess, right? Because not sure we want to support it in the long run, but we could include it. Would like the whole thing to be reevaluated. Offline portal. So maybe this should be called file server or something. It almost seems like this is made. It would have Wordle as a separate file or no? Yeah. I will say I don't necessarily understand what they mean with the partial receive thing. I'll leave it for now. I feel like that leans towards not merging it. I feel like it leans towards because it says I'm not sure we want to support that in the long run. And the best fix is like changing the user code to not need to change the buffer size. Let's say we could include it, so it's kind of error. But I don't know, reevaluated, replaced by a better base library. I'm not sure, I guess, either what he means by that. Like it could use the WSGI library, or does he mean another new one that's just built differently than this one? Okay. We tested out the ASP32 SPI. We were getting the same results on the current version of the library, at least for the last example I tried, which was the quotes and then, right. Well, the last one that ran was, it was fetching the wrong URL. So this has the 1 at the end. The current one, which I left running a minute ago, was connecting to a network that is wrong. So this retries a bunch of times and then throws the OS error. And again, that's on the current release one. Do this to get to the PR branch one. Should do the same in this case. And it's going to retry a bunch of times though. So I'll just let that run for a minute. That gets me through all the ones I kind of had in mind to take a look at today. So while we let that run, the other thing I want to do is probably not going to get a whole lot of it done, but I want to do the very beginning of starting a new Django server, which will have WebSockets built in, and then eventually we're going to be trying to connect our microcontrollers to the WebSockets. I doubt that I will get all the way to that point where we're even ready to start connecting microcontrollers today, but we could get the Django project set up, and we're lucky, maybe we'll be able to connect to the WebSocket from JavaScript or something basic. But we'll see how far we end up actually getting. Oops, cancel. We'll keep this open so that we can hopefully see at the end. Just gonna use. Should we make another? Maybe we should make a new environment, I guess. Because the other thing is, I'll get the brand newest Django, which I haven't actually built any projects off of the brand newest Django. So if we have that in a virtual environment, that means it won't mess with any of my other projects. Hopefully. The idea, at least. So this is definitely outside of CircuitPython land. It's not the kind of stuff I generally work on stream, but it'd be interesting nonetheless. What do we actually get to start with here? We've got a project, but no applications. Like a start app or something here. Let's take a look at what version of Django did it install, or did it even install Django? It did 404, version not found. Funny. We'll want channels, but I built in now? No. So I'm gonna aim for just kind of like the most basic WebSocket server first. Very old. Also still pretty old, 2.12. Maybe we hit up the actual docs. One says stable. Gotta run, thanks for the stream. Yeah, for sure, thanks for hanging out. I'm not sure about is, does Django 4 use a newer version of channels? No. Okay, well there's only 304. Go 2.2 and up, so I guess let's install that. Okay, creating a project. This is where we're going. So we basically got this part done for us. Creating the app we'll do next. Start app. Do I want to call it chat? I think I'm going to call it something else. I think there's also this thing, right? Oh, no, that didn't do it. Alt R? I thought that was HPython. Alt R? Oh. Start app. Let's just call it WS test for now. Now we have an app. We're pretty close to being able to have this. Make a hello world here. Possibly we could just run this. Be able to hit our server. Indeed we can. Okay. Oh, but why do we have... This is not the page I expected, though. I guess it's... Well, yeah, it's probably because... we don't have anything actually... adding the URL yet, so I think we want a URLs here. URLs. URL patterns. Usually do this by path. If this says X. Actually, I think we'll put this inside the app. Request def get. No. Oh, right. Let's do a view class. X view. View. It. Turn. Render. Request. X. No stuff. Whoa. No stuff. Okay. So now our app has our URL in it. This is actually views dot, let's say, index view as view. Dot index view. So our app has that, but we do need in our project path include. Ow, whoa, that was probably very loud. Oh, I'm sorry if anybody is still watching. Probably just totally blew out your speakers, your eardrums, and everything else, so I apologize for that. I just whacked the microphone pretty hard there. Terribly sorry. Wasn't that loud? Oh, that's good. Kind of surprised. Pleasantly surprised. I don't know the right way to do this. Been so long. I always, oh, here we go. Get pretty close. Just needs a string. Actually done that right. If so, then we will get our hello world. Nice. Okay. We have a page. Next thing though, let's do some more stuff. Will be interesting. Got most of this done. This must have already happened, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to get this page, I don't think. Double check. It's actually not in the list, which is very strange. Not sure why that worked, since it's not in the list, but probably, I guess, because it doesn't have models or something. I'm definitely a little surprised. Free selector. This is basically like a chat room looking thing. It says templates chat index. Might as well put the same folder. Okay, we don't have a chat view. Now we do. Chat index. Chat. Oh, okay. I don't know why that had a extra slash. What chat room do you want to enter? We already got our view that does this. URL set up. We ran our server. My site. SGI. Call typewriter. Alright, we're using newer than 2.2, so I don't think we need to do this. Channels we can add. Settings. Channels. No module. Probably missing a comma. Okay, back to running. Okay, I think we're caught up to this, excuse me, to this page. I do have to go to the bathroom again though. So, load this page and I'll be back in a minute. Okay. We're back. Head to room view. Got a room in a room HTML. And we won't end up using all of these files exactly as they are, or maybe not even any of them, truthfully. But it will be helpful for getting the server up and running, and then we can start building out the actual parts of it that CircuitPython will be interested in. This way we can kind of like do this as a class, actually. Oh. Feel like that slash and then room name? Room slash? URLs are a little bit different than the way mine are. I have chat inside of my app, my project. Try it like this. Ah, right. Okay. Did it fail the WebSocket? Yep. Okay. And closer. So consumer. Go AWS test. Consumer. Routing. may change this eventually, I'm not sure. So attribute. Ah, there we go. Okay. And we would need to actually hook up more for this. Which I think that may be where I stop for now, actually. Need to install that. Yes, I don't know exactly what state it will be in when it runs. Run. We'll still not be able to print any errors, actually. It might have actually connected. Got lobby. Got response headers, so it got a response. It didn't send any other data besides the connect and the response, but like it got that part at least. I guess we could put something here, and it would try to send, I assume. Oh, didn't show up as another entry here. Here either. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. What is actually in this page? It does send it in the socket. We didn't get any kind of errors, so I guess from the JavaScript side, it's probably sending fine. If we see it here. Did. Okay. Cool. Yeah, we got our front end is connected. It's able to send data from the front end into the consumer, which is basically like the server side of the WebSocket connection. And so now the server would, take that input and do whatever it needs to with it. For the case of this like chat example server, it would propagate it out to the rest of the users who are in that particular room. And then it would, the front end on their pages would update to show the new message. We will have to run the Redis server to be able to do that, which I'm not sure that I necessarily want to set all of that up right now. Kind of curious, I guess. It's gonna actually run. I don't even know if I have Docker. Yeah. I don't know why that has an enter in it either. Docker not found, so I could try to install with apt and then, but that's gonna also, well, no, I guess Redis would be inside of it. Anyway, there's more stuff to set up to make the rest of the server work. And I think I'm gonna call it for now. Yeah, thank you, everybody watching. Yeah, I don't know for sure. I may be back sometime before Friday, but if not, then Friday evening for the deep dive should be the next, I think, kind of like scheduled stream that I'll be doing. So Friday, and then should be around Saturday morning, I think, as well. So, yep. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and I will I'll catch you next time.